Hello to you. Sorry, I've got carried away with doing some stuff downstairs, so a little bit late on the start, but boy, have I got a lot to talk to you about. Let's see how we're doing. Let me just do. I'm gonna have to just type in some. What are we doing? What are we talking about today? Let me just type this in so that newbies to the chat will know what we're talking about. So, Ali Pally. Oops. Aftermath. A discussion. Shed Chat Live. I think we're on number 18 now. So, bum bum bum. I think that should now come up. Right, that's fine. Let me. Oh, right. I'm out of breath. I've just run up from downstairs. The other project, the super secret project, is developing, and I can't talk to you about it. So, right, Ali Pally over the weekend. It was absolutely great to meet so many of you. I just felt really humbled, actually, to be honest with you. Walking around Ali Pally, and people kept coming up to me, shaking my hand, saying, "Oh, we watched the videos. Love the work you're doing," and one of the things when you do YouTube is it can almost be a very solitary experience because essentially you see the audience figures and some of the videos like getting tens of thousands of views, but it's almost like a statistic until you meet people and able to talk to them. And all weekend going around Ali Pally, I just kept bumping into people that watch the videos, and it's just really humbling to see you all. And also talking with some of the manufacturers, really quite impressed that pretty much every single manufacturer knew who I was. I don't know whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. Now, just today's live chat, because I haven't had a chance to go and get any booze. Diet Pepsi, final can in the house. So I'm going to have to make this last. Let's see who's in the house. Who's in the Jenny Monday Club? We've got New Mills Model Railway. Hello to you. Philip Page. Hello to you. Cameron K. Hello from Plymouth. Well, hello to you. Hello from Bolton. Pippin Junction. Hello from Lincolnshire. It's my birthday today. Happy birthday. Had a footplate ride on 92 Squadron yesterday as a birthday treat. Oh, that's great. Footplate rides are great. I got to ride on City of Wells. I think it was last year, and that was really great. And actually, my lasting memory of that was surprisingly not as dirty as you might imagine on the footplate of a mainline steam locomotive. Jamie Smith, hi to you. Mark Rice, hi to you. You're in Didcot? Oh, great. So Didcot Railway Centre's your local one. David Trading Time, hi to you. Malcolm Walls, hi. Charles Curtis, hello to you. Timber Surf, hello to you. Steve Hearn, morning to you. Although it's actually evening here. But Ralph West, yo Jenny. Well, yo Ralph. Mr. Dreaded 88, hello to you. AD Pullen, hi to you. Tony Britton, evening to you. And the Monday Crew, yeah, I like that actually. The Monday Crew, Jenny's Monday Crew. Apologies for all the racket from this chair. It's the new one I got from Zoe, so I can spin round and that. But I think it needs a bit of an oil. But hey, yeah, Ali Pally. I got interviewed. The interviews went really well, and actually it was quite gratifying to see how many people turned up for those. I was so nervous before the interviews because I didn't know in advance what the questions were. And that's something that Lawrence he discussed over the phone before the event, like the topic he wanted to cover. And that's about it. So on the day, I could see he had his cheat sheets of the sort of things he wanted to talk about. But it went really well, actually. And then I think there was about 6-7 people deep at one point around the stand. And I had people coming up to me afterwards. So sorry to the people who missed the interviews, who wanted to catch them. I was on at 12:30 each day. But I believe those videos are resurfacing online somewhere. They were filmed for MRE Mag filmed, and I think BRM filmed, but I haven't seen any turn up online yet. That's not to say that they aren't online. It's just that I'm so busy, haven't really had enough time to kind of troll around and see what I can find. But I also did a big interview for Hattons, well, with Hattons as well, which was really great actually. So big shout out to the Hattons posse, who may or may not be watching, but hello to you if you are. I know a lot of people tend to lurk and not necessarily post in the chat room. So if there's anybody from Hattons in, hello to you. Really appreciated being interviewed. Great setup you had there, and it was good to see some of those new models coming through. And on the subject of new models as well, a big thank you to Rails of Sheffield, who let me do a full review of their new Terrier. And I know there's been a lot of controversy over the new Rails Terrier. There has. I think pretty much it was the hot topic of the talk. Everybody was talking about the James May trouble in Model Land or whatever it was. And that stirred up quite a lot of controversy. But Rails of Sheffield were kind enough to actually let me do a review of their pre-production model. Now, it is a pre-production model. It's not going to be hitting the shops now for at least a few months, as far as I'm aware. I'm not sure the actual release date. But I've done a full review. And it looked the part. There was a couple of bits that the guys from Rails were very keen to point out, like the chimney. The top piece needed some more work, but it was... Oh, who's dinging me? Oh, right. This is from Zoe. She says, if you click on the icon right next to the waste bin, because this is on a Mac, it'll bring up the photos and... Oh, where's that gone? It'll bring up the photos and videos you took over the weekend. So, now, this is interesting. So, oops... where's it gone? Come here, you. Right, there we are. So, where's my little cheat sheet? Show me and a web page, Alt Command 8. So, just give me one moment. Alt Command 8. So, there we are. There's the haul at Ali Pali. I took a quick photo. I didn't get a huge chance to take a lot of photos. But anyway, yeah, the Rails Terrier. Gosh, meanwhile, back at the ranch. Basically... they let me do a full review. It was filmed on an iPhone, so it's not up to the usual standards, but we've edited it up. It's going to go up as the Wednesday video. At the moment, I've sent a copy to Rails, just out of courtesy, so they can go through, and if I've made any glaring factual inaccuracies, then they can point those out and we'll just rejig it. But on Wednesday, that's going up. And as far as I'm aware, nobody else has done a full review of this model. And I feel so honoured to have been allowed to do this, to the point where Lawrence at the MRC was like, how did you manage that? Because I got to actually put the models, the Hornby and the Rails model, side by side. And I think it's actually a testament to how much faith that Rails do have in their model, that they're quite happy for somebody to do a critical review of it side by side with the Hornby model. And actually, he was absolutely right, the guy from Rails. The new Rails model is better than the Hornby model. And you'll have to watch the review to see why this is the case. I think there is room in the market for both of the models. I don't think that it's going to be like when the Adams Radial came out, and it was too niche a prototype to support two competing models on the market. I think with the Rails versus Hornby Terrier, there is a market to support both of them. There's enough prototypes and enough liveries off over enough of a time frame to support both of them. And the Rails model does reward careful scrutiny because there's a lot of extra attention to detail on there. But you're going to have to watch the video on Wednesday to see that. So that is coming. There's also going to be my footage from Ali Pali is going to be going up. I got to whiz around a little bit before the doors opened. So essentially that was my best opportunity to film a lot of the layouts. You don't see as much moving, but you get to see the layouts without the crowds, and there were immense crowds. It's a very popular show. A lot of families coming through, and that was good to see that the younger generation being brought to the Model Railway Show. And whereas Worley tended to be more the enthusiasts, at Ali Pali we had the families coming through, and that was really great. Let's have a look down through your comments. We've got Graf B. Hi, Jenny in the Monday Club. Hi to you. Morty UK. Hi from Dereham in Norfolk. Brilliant to have you along. Nathan Chu. Not sure how you're pronouncing that, but it's hi to you. Jamie Smith. After the Hornby programme, LOL. Yeah, definitely. And, you've got to remember, a little caveat. Got to chat very, very briefly with Simon Kohler. I think, TV company's interested in making a TV company that gets the viewers in. So there's always going to be a little bit of sensationalising. AR Productions. I'm really looking forward to the Hornby J36, particularly the model of Maud. Yeah, me too. I've got that on order. And in fact, I've been told via a Hatton's email that that's due, expected in on the 27th of this month. So Maud should be incoming with the TTS sound towards the end of this week, which, oh my word, it's becoming an expensive month. After I think I managed to buy about 350 quid's worth of stuff at Ali Pali, and the fact I only bought one locomotive tells you that there's a lot of bits and pieces that this show was great for. Let's have a look. Jamie Smith, wow, I'll have to try and go next year now. Yeah, it's a great show. It's the first time I've ever done Ali Pali, and in all honesty with you, it was an amazing... Let's have a look at some of the other pictures here. This is my... let's just... I'm going to mute the sound because you don't really want to hear me and Lawrence talking. But this is as we approach up the mound to Ali Pali. And I'm told this actually, once upon a time, this was the tram tracks. This is where the trams came up to Alexandra Palace. So that's what you see when you approach this venue, and it is very eye-catching. It sort of sits there on top of the hill, and it really was an amazing show. So glad, so humbled that I got invited down there to be a part of it. And I can well recommend going to Alexandra Palace there. So, actually, I'm just looking at the reflection on the windscreen of the passes. I don't think there's any personal details on there, so that's fine. But this is the building it's in. I mean, look at that. That is just amazing. Good morning to you, Michael's Afol from Australia. Ron Stanbridge, I went on Saturday. Yeah, Saturday was the busier day. Sunday was still busy, but Saturday was quite a crush. Let's have a look. Ron Stanbridge, good show, certainly was. Mark Wicks, hello from Queensland, Australia. We get a lot of Aussies in. It's great to see you all. I believe from having spoken in the past on the Monday Jenny Club with Angus's Trains. He's sort of like my man on the ground over there near the Richmond Vale Railway. He told me it's the early morning with you, sort of 6-7 o'clock, something like that in the morning. Let's have a look. New Mills Model Railway. You're going to need a lot of fresh stock for that layout of yours. Actually, no, I've got a lot of stock. I'm not begging for stock at the moment for that layout. In fact, if anything, as far as I can tell, I'm going to get all my stock out and run out of track before I run out of stock. So, but it's going to mean that I can get a lot more out there. So, look, Warrington Train Spotter 2778. Where and when is the next model railway show? Well, they happen pretty much multiple ones every weekend. But for me, I think I'm looking at the... it's the Rainhill Model Railway Exhibition in Rainhill, obviously near Liverpool, and that's towards the end of the year. And I think I've also got an invite that I must respond to from the Lee Railway Modelling Society. I think I do have to check that. I don't do an awful lot of model railway exhibitions, it has to be said, throughout the year. Let's just have a look. I think, we've got some more photographs here of the venue. So that's the hall from underneath the organ. Let's have a look now down. No Way Jerk, afternoon from Pennsylvania. People coming in stateside. Brilliant to have you along. Robin Martin, hi to you. Pippin Junction. Something a bit off topic. Do you have any way of contacting you? I'd like some advice on publishing. You'll have to go to the All Mouse Media website, which is from memory www, then all is one word. It's All Mouse Media, all one word, and that's mouse as in squeak. I know that my accent can sometimes make people think that I'm saying mouth as in like rah, mouth, but it is not. It's allmousemedia.com, I think it is. And then on there should be a contact us form, and that goes through to the media manager, who then in turn forwards stuff on. Now, I know stuff does get through because that's how I got my gig for writing for Model Januszwag's Magazinette. That's how Stefan Nilsson, who's the editor of that, originally contacted me. So it does eventually get through. But certainly advice on publishing, there's no magic formula, unfortunately. A lot of people kind of hope that you say, you need to do this, this and this, and it's all grand. But I kind of fell into publishing. But yeah, certainly I do have some sage words of advice, I guess. But let's have a look. No way jerk, as in rah mouth, laugh my my donkey derivative off. It's all I could think of. Mouth as in rah rah. Yeah, mouth as in what I'm currently tipping Coke into. Actually, I think Pepsi get quite aggrieved if you call it Coke. It's no, it's Pepsi. Right, other pictures I've got. That's the organ, incidentally. Where? So if I show you that picture, where I'm stood there, if you look above yourself, that's the organ that's above you. It's very impressive. I was kind of hoping they might let me go and have a tinkle. But never really got a chance to ask anybody. It doesn't really matter too much. What else have we got? There's a lot of film footage here, so it has to be said. Actually, that's the Rails and the Sheffield Terriers side by side. But of course, tune in on Wednesday, and you will get the full exclusive review. So let's see what else we've got here. Now this is a railway. It's Burnt Island. Now a lot of people are calling Burntisland. That is the wrong pronunciation. The place is called Burnt Island, so I've been told. And this was a truly amazing model. And actually in the Hattons interview, when they interviewed me, one of their questions was, what's been the standout layout for you? And I name-checked this layout because this layout, it's set very sort of well and truly firmly in the pre-grouping period. So pretty much everything you see, including models of locomotives, stock, everything is scratch built on this. It is an amazing work of art. So if you get a chance to see Burnt Island, I do recommend going and seeing that. So there's another, it's actually, yeah, that's a picture I took. That was when they were still setting up. So do mind that the person there is sort of dusting the track with a paintbrush, but you can see the quality of the modelling on that. It was just an amazing layout. So if there's anybody in who either is involved in Burnt Island or knows anybody who's involved in Burnt Island and the construction and operation of that, then do pass on my regards, because this is an amazing model. And if you get a chance to go and see it, really do that. You won't be disappointed. Let's have a look. So for some reason, which model was that? I'm not actually sure which model that was. A lot of these I've not got the names, and I've not got the actual catalogue to show you. But there was loads of really good models. Let's see what else we got. I see a lot of these are actually movies. Ooh, for some reason it's not muted that. So I'll give you a snippet of what's coming up on. This will probably be the Friday video. Will be Alexandra Palace as filmed by me, and it just gives you a quick snippet of what you can expect to see in that video. So these are actually all bits of video, but I don't want to play them all for you, because otherwise there'd be no point in you watching the Friday video. So you get to see the thumbnail pics, as it were. This was actually a gauge 3 layout, and it's always nice to see some of these huge scales, and it's verging on the point where this is well and truly in the sort of stuff that you could run in your garden, but to see a scenic layout in gauge 3 is actually quite special. So this was also quite fun to watch. That looks blurry because it's the start of a video that's in motion. Now, this is some footage I took on the Bachmann stand, and I actually got to, and I don't have his card, so I can't name check him, but there was a gentleman there who works for Woodland Scenics, and he was very, very kind enough, they were very, very kind to give me some tuition in how to make trees and scenery. And it was really, really good to actually be shown how to do this sort of standard of the scenery that you see there. So I will recommend that. I'm not actually a member of the Bachmann Collectors Club at the moment, but because they knew who I was and they knew that I was, I suppose that they're very much aware of the importance of social media. They actually let me in the members only area, and I got to have a good chat with the guy from Bachmann about some of the models, about what direction they're heading, and a lot of things that they're working on. And it was very informative. I filmed a little bit of that, so that may actually end up coming, if there's not enough space in Friday's video, then the chances are that that's going to end up carried over into next week. So there's a lot of stuff coming, but certainly Alexandra Palace was brilliant. There's some footage I've got here. Let me just mute that because you don't want to hear background noise and me going, "Ooh, look at this shiny, shiny." But this is some of the narrow gauge stuff. Sometimes I get criticised for focusing on the 00 more than anything else, but this is the 009 cabinet. And now I move on. But the Robinson 8K, the Rod 280 livery sample of Rod 1918 there was one that I was really looking forward to. And the C-Class. The C-Class that everybody was desperate for. There weren't enough to go round. It's reappearing. Different running number, but the C-Class is reappearing. And that Parrot wagon, I'm really looking forward to that. And look at this. The Northeastern Railway J72, well, the E1 tank. Now, interesting story behind that. That livery, if you want one, make sure you get an order in. Let me see if I can go back to it. If I go back to there and pause there. That Northeastern Railway E1 tank in that lovely lime green, the guy from Bachmann said to me, that they have subsequently found out is a non-prototypical colour. It never ran in that livery. And the livery that they thought was that was actually a black and white photograph of it in photographic grey. So I asked him, so does that mean it's going to be dropped from the catalogue and replaced? He said, well, actually, no. And the reason for this is because that pretty little locomotive there is outselling all of the other versions on pre-order. He says people seem to love that livery. That's the one they want. So Bachmann are going to produce that, as far as I'm aware, as for what they implied, in that livery, even though it's not a prototypical livery, because that appears to be what people want. And yeah, Nathan Chu, J72 a must for me. It's a must for me as well. I do like that. I've got at least one of the older split chassis versions. So it's one of the models that I'm quite happy to update my fleet. So I'm very interested to see these turn up. And actually that Northeastern Railway livery one is probably on my hit list as well. Gary Tate, hi Jenny, was at Ali Pally yesterday with my son. Some brilliant layouts there, but spent a small fortune. Yeah, I can sympathise with that. I didn't mean to, but I spent in excess of £350 over the 2 days. So there's going to be a couple of box opening and reviews out of that, but a lot of it was scenery related. And I must admit, the gentleman from Woodland Scenics who was kind enough to give me a demonstration of some of their products, sir, my imaginary hat is doffed to you because you gained a massive sale there. I bought so much Woodland Scenic stuff because really the products that they do, and this is coming from a customer, not in any way affiliated with Bachmann, and not been given any freebies for those. I've not been asked to promote these. This is purely from what I've seen with my own eyes. The Woodland Scenics range has some amazing stuff in, and I'm just looking through it and thinking, this is the future of railway modelling. They've actually taken stuff which, stuff that was previously only in the realms of the most able of modelers, the people who were just so great at crafting stuff from nothing. Woodland Scenics has made especially things like terrain, foliage, trees, bushes, all of these things, water effects, all of these, they've made them accessible to all modelers, and they really can only be applauded for that. And I've bought so much in the way of their stuff for making ground cover, for making terrain, and I'm hoping to be employing some of that up in the loft. I also popped into the Gauge Master stand, and Gauge Master is another company that's gone on in leaps and bounds with some of the products that they offer to the modeler for making some really good landscapes. So I've got myself quite a few of the Gauge Master products as well, and I'm looking forward to using those too. Again, not affiliated in any way to Gauge Master. I bought these from the Gauge Master stand at the full price. There's no freebies, no bungs, no favours being pulled. I am genuinely excited to be able to use their products, because I've seen what effects they had, like a big display layout, and short of trolling through all my pictures and that, I know I did take some video of it, and some of their products do look amazing, and I'm looking forward to trying those out for myself. Now let's have a look. John Carville, hi to you. Ham Shackleton, good to have you along. You found me. Yes, we didn't do the live stream last week because I was so busy. We were burning the midnight oil, myself and a gentleman called Les Cliff. We were burning the midnight oil. We got that task done. That's all been sorted. It's brilliant. But that was why there was no live stream last week. Let's have a look. Russell Strickett, morning Jenny from New Zealand. Aha, great. We can tick New Zealand off. We've got somebody from New Zealand now. I like to play sort of like country bingo, see where we can get all people from. We've got people from all over the UK. We've got some people from America, from Pennsylvania. We've got Australia, Queensland I've seen, and now we've got New Zealand. So if you're in from a country that's not been mentioned, then do give a shout out, and let's name check all the countries. This is great. Yeah, land of the long white cloud, any sign of a 00 gauge GWR 43XX mogul from Daypol. I didn't see any evidence of it, but then again, I didn't look into all of their pre-production model cabinets. It might have been there, but certainly from what I saw, it doesn't look to be like super close at the moment. That said, when I had a look at the Kerno Model Centre stand, I think there's some purists would get annoyed if I call it the Class 41 warship. I don't think it ever officially got the TOPS code, the TOPS designation of Class 41, but it's what people tend to refer to them as. I did see livery models of those. They look very good, actually. Graph B, I was at Ali Pally, would have said hello, but he was in demand every time I passed the MRC stand. Oh, wasn't I just? I was so humbled by the number of people who came up and talked to me. And it's just so great to finally meet a lot of people who are an audience to this channel. And, it really does make me feel humbled. I'm doing something that you all enjoy watching. Andrew Keeley, New York City. So we've got somebody from Pennsylvania. We've got somebody from New York. We're ticking them off. How many states? Is it 50 states? 51? Oh gosh, that's probably quite embarrassing. But, I'm in the UK. And whilst I expect every American school child it has to learn all the states parrot fashion and know every single state of America, in the UK... we don't, unfortunately. So 50, right? So I was close. 50, good guess. Yeah, because they always say the 51st state is sort of it used to be a nickname for Britain back in the days of the Thatcher and Reagan. Thatcher and Reagan. They used to jokingly refer to Britain sometimes. I heard it as the 51st state because we had the special relationship. But yeah, Nathan Chu, 48 to go. So yeah, do we have anybody from New England, Maine, Rhode Island, Washington State, Massachusetts, Missouri? We've got Pennsylvania, North Dakota, South Dakota, New Hampshire, California, New Mexico, Texas, Nevada, Utah, Colorado. We've had people in from Colorado as well. I'm running out of states in my mind. There's loads more, but Florida, Louisiana, Mississippi. That's one we always learn in spelling at school because Mississippi is one of those tricky ones to spell. So yeah. Hawaii and Alaska, the freak states. Don't forget them. Which state is Chicago? Oh, it's Michigan, isn't it? I can't think of any more off the top of my head, but there we go. There's a few for you to digest. Ham Shackleton, refreshed, back on. Somebody got... some people might just... Ham Shackleton, you've gone off air, just getting the buffering wheel. The spinning beach ball of death. Illinois, yes, Andrew Keeley, Illinois, yeah. We'll get through them in the end. But America, the USA, is a country that pretty much has so much variety across it, from one coast to the other. They've got pretty much every climate, every kind of terrain going you can imagine. North Carolina, South Carolina as well. There's two more. They'll all come to me in the end. I'm trying to think of some of the northern ones. Sault Ste. Marie is that in Canada? I'm not sure. I know that. Where's Rock Island, Waterloo, places like that. I want to say La Crosse as well. Where are they? St. Paul, Minnesota. Yes, Minnesota. Rob Farrell, hi Jenny. I was at the Ali Pally on Saturday. First time I've been there, and it was a great show. Would come again next year. Saw you at the MRC stand. Well, you should have come and said hello. Was that Nathan Chu? Just hit the buffers. You buffering. Is anybody else suffering poor connection? It seems all right here. I'm looking down. I'm getting a lot of diagnostic lights down here. So I am sending a signal. Just is it being received? So let's have a look. Where you gone? That appears to be, as far as I can scroll. For some reason, that's a little bit more of the Bachmann stand. The ScotRail BG Mark 1 livery sample. It's quite interesting because I don't believe it's like the one livery which Bachmann had not yet done for the Mark 1 BG. I did do a video quite a long time ago now. It features in my channel trailer, and I did all the liveries available ready to run from Bachmann of the Mark 1 BG, and ScotRail was conspicuous by its absence, but Bachmann have stepped in and are going to address that. So I don't seem to be able to make this scroll. For some reason, I can't scroll it, so, oh God, who's that ugly mug? So let's just get rid of that. I'm not really used to a Mac, so let's just, if I click over here, where's my little cheat sheet? Just show me on screen. I do that, you see, so that then I can... I don't want to accidentally show you all my passwords and stuff for YouTube, so let's just have a look. YouTube. Tube of use. I can't do a sheep noise. Ham Shackleton, you commented, no Jenny's live chat again today, the 25th. Yes, there is. Here we are. I think it was about 8 minutes late, and that was because I had my friend Brian round, and we're downstairs and we're getting carried away doing stuff for another project, and then suddenly, oh my God, I got a live stream to do. I forgot about that. Let's have a look now. What have we got here? I haven't had anything to eat, so I'm a bit scatterbrained. Have they changed YouTube? What have you been doing, Google? The beta. I always see that with absolute hatred when it says new beta version. We're putting you to our new beta version. It's like, it was fine before. Stop messing about. Let's have a look. Oh, apparently my stats are doing really well, which is what that page was that you can't see. Whoa! Oh, what witchcraft is this? Oh, I don't like it. Really don't like it. What else have we been doing? I've been building the loft layout. Let's see. Interesting actually. Now here's something I've spotted. Now the video where I review the Rails Terrier, it's had 5 views. 4 of those must be somebody from Rails. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll have to check my emails and see. I'm going to do that now. There's no email from Rails, so I'm hoping that means that they're okay with it. And the reason that I say that is because they were very kind to loan me the model. So I thought the best courtesy is, in case there's some glaring inaccuracies, because I know there's been so much controversy about basically about the with the program with James May. I didn't want to make any glaring inaccuracies and have that sort of enshrined for all time, and then people would say, well, Jenny said this. So I've given them the opportunity to go through and basically check my video. I'm not getting any bungs for this. There's no freebies. I didn't get to keep the model as much as I would have loved to. But no, so this is purely my personal views of looking at it really closely. So hopefully that's gone down well and you'll be able to see that on Wednesday. Right, let's have a look. I'm just looking at my emails at the moment. Doing a live stream and I'm checking emails, so I've got to be very careful here because I don't want to accidentally show you all my emails. So Dick Strawbridge, if you're watching, your email is still safe with me. No, he hasn't emailed me. I haven't had an email from Dick Strawbridge actually in a while. But some people actually asked me, they said, do you keep in touch with people from Biggest Little Railway? And yeah, we do actually. A lot of the people who were the people you saw on screen, I would say I probably keep in touch with maybe half of those people, and that's not because half of those people aren't worth keeping in touch with, but it's just some people sort of drifted off, done their own thing, and it's like with so many things. Do you really keep in touch with all the people you went to school or university with? You don't. You drift apart. But there's about half those people, so about 25-30 people, still keep in touch with, some of them very, very regularly. And then in terms of the production people, I still occasionally trade emails with some of the producers and keep in touch with a couple of other people who were on that. And I think the director as well. I keep an eye on the projects he's doing. I'm on his Facebook, and it's nice to see what people have gone on to do, because obviously they're all the professionals in the TV industry. Who else do I keep in touch with? Dick Strawbridge. Swapped emails with him a couple of times, but I don't like to send loads of emails or anything. It's only when I've particularly got something to say. So I've spoken to him a few times since the series ended. And Claire Barrett, again, traded a few emails with, loosely keep in touch through the Book of Face. Let's just have a look now. I'm just curious if my interview with Hattons has gone up. Let's have a look. I'm not seeing anything, but on the news front, actually, I talked a bit about Dapol. And there's some updates on the Class 21 / Class 29. And let's have a look. Latest update, decorated sample revealed. Now, name check Hattons here, because I'll be honest with you, Hattons have one of the best websites on the market. And this is it's one of those things that I keep saying to people, I'm not getting bungs from anybody. Let's see, me plus web page is that button. But Hattons, if you're watching this, and they hinted that some of them do occasionally drop in and out of my videos, your website is spot on, which is why I shamelessly use it for some of the pictures. And it's just simply a case of your website's really easy to look around and to get information from. You've got it right. And other mail order businesses, if you were thinking, how could we improve our website? Hattons have actually, they've got it down to pat. So is the reason I'm using the Hattons website. But there's a livery sample up there that Hattons have posted of the Class 21 decorated sample. I believe these were in the cabinet on the Daypole stand as well. So if you've been waiting for what's actually years and years for the Class 21 and 29, I really want a Class 29. I don't know why. There's just something about it. The old sad eyes. I've got the Class 22, and the 29 is one which I'm looking forward to try and get hold of one in BR Blue. So let's have a look. Are there any delivery dates? There's still no delivery dates, I don't think. Just looking down that. But certainly, if you've been waiting for that for years, and it has been going on years, it's getting ever closer. Let's have a look. Right, let's have a look. Command 8. No, wrong button. That brings me back. Oh, I'm really fancying chips. So Zoe, if you're watching this, you probably aren't, but sometimes she does keep an eye on me from work. I really fancy chips. Let's have a look. Good in Cyprus. Another country, Cyprus. PG Croc. I'm presuming that PGCROC. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say PG Croc. Good in Cyprus. So right, we can tick Cyprus off the list. So brilliant. Never been to Cyprus, but it is a place that I would love to go and visit. Let's have a look. Graph B, fine here too. Anthony, Strathmore Road Junction. Hi to you. How's the layout coming along, he asks. Jenny, I'm doing big changes to my layout. Ooh, it's always good to do changes to your layout. Sometimes you just get bored, or you think, like, I can redo that, I can do that better. Or just through the experience of running your layout, you get to know things about, like, well, actually, I wish I'd done that different. So it's one of those things that basically a model railway is never finished. And actually, the guy from Bachmann totally agreed with me on this. He says, you're absolutely right. Because if you finish a model railway, it's the kiss of death to it. You get bored with it, and you just like, I'll have to rip it all up and do it again. Never complete your model railway. Always have something you can keep tinkering with, because that's how you keep the interest in it. Well, certainly for me. Let's have a look. Philip Page, in Wales for a couple of days. It's part of Britain, but yeah, okay, we'll tick Wales off. Got anybody from Scotland? Anybody from Ireland? Northern Ireland? Republic of Ireland? Anybody? Probably is. There's a few shy people there. Mr. Dreaded 88. Sam turned me on to Hattons, waiting on order. Yeah, I see. I've been using Hattons ever since my dad first took me there. I think it was about 9 years old, 8, 9 years old, maybe 10 years old. And I can remember being taken to the original Smithdown Road, and it was like a little grotto. Really small shop, but so full of stuff. And I bought my very first Bachmann locomotive. Where I found out about Bachmann was from Hattons. And I can remember going in there, and Norman Hatton was there in his prime. And he used to bring stuff out of the stock room. If he liked you, he'd bring you some really choice, brand new, and it was brand new. I've talked about this before. Some stock that he'd bought from Meccano when they were in the sort of the clearance sale when they went bankrupt, and he was still selling these into the 1990s. And I just remember with great fondness going there. But later still, probably about 2000, 2001. I bought my first Bachmann locomotive from there, which was actually a Class 4 diesel shunter in BR black with the Cycling Lion logo. Philip Page went to Smithdown Road about 20 years ago. It's a great place. So I'm a long-term user of Hattons, and I've seen all the different iterations. The original Smithdown Road shop, the newer Smithdown Road shop, and now the new warehouse with the trade counter at Widnes. So I've seen that evolve. And if I'd have thought about it, I should have gone and I've got some old Railway Modeller magazines that I bought from when I had my subscription, and it's got the old Hattons adverts in, and it's really interesting to see how selling model railway stuff has changed, because back then mail order wasn't really a thing unless you picked up the phone and rang them, and Hattons were one of the first places they had an AOL email address from what I remember, so you could email them and presumably either Norman or somebody else was there who would respond to your email, and you could theoretically buy stuff that way. I never did, but yeah. Long time user of Hattons, and always very pleased. Hattons have done a lot for the hobby. I know that they've come in for criticism from some people that, oh no, they're squeezing the small independent shops out of business, but actually I don't think that's the case. Certainly when they've brought out their new range with things like the P-Class, the Andrew Barclay, they now distribute them to other model shops. So I think that has to be applauded, because they give other model shops the opportunity to sell their own brand products, and presumably they sell them at trade price. So these shops will sell them at the same price that Hattons are selling them. Hattons isn't undercutting them, and it means that you can get access to these products and support your local retailer. And I think that that's a great move, and it would be nice to see if maybe some of the other retailers who commission their own stuff maybe would do deals with other retailers. I think TMC and Freising Hall Models there's a little bit of crossover with some of the stuff that they commission from Bachmann. So I've seen Freising Hall Models special editions being sold by TMC, and I've seen TMC exclusives being sold by Freising Hall Models. So it's good to see that cooperation within the trade. But certainly, I think as well, Hattons have really embraced the new social media era, and they see that as being a very important thing. And part of the reason that they interviewed me at Alexandra Palace is because they recognise the importance of the way that this business has gone. And you could argue that Hattons is an old company. Founded by Norman Hatton when he was demobbed out of the army in the 1940s, 1950s. So they're by no stretch of the imagination a new company, but they've kind of done what really the likes of Woolworths and Debenhams really should have been doing, and HMV, in embracing the new online thing. And they've proven that you don't have to be a new startup to be successful in this internet age. You can adapt, and they've done a really good job at doing that. So I've got nothing but praise for them. Let's have a look. We get to tick another country off. Mark Wilson, hi from Hong Kong. On a business trip. It's nearly 4 a.m. but can't sleep. Jet lag, I think. Glad to be in the audience tonight. Great channel. Oh, well, thank you very much, Mark. It's good to have you along, and we can now tick Hong Kong off. But does Hong Kong count as an entity in its own right, or now that it's I think subsequent to, was it 97 or 98, it's now part of China? I'm going to tick China off, actually. So there we are. We've got somebody in China. I know you're in Hong Kong, but and Hong Kong it's like not quite China, but technically it is. But I'm going to claim China for the country count today. Graph B, always had good service from Hattons. Yeah, although you don't get the famous string on the parcels anymore. I think they ran out of string, but it's no big deal. It's probably something to do with Royal Mail going like, don't use string because it catches in our machines. Mr. Dreaded 88, great to hear Graph B getting order to USA. That's the other thing as well. Mail order overseas. Hattons have been very good, and one of the things that they do, and it has to be pointed out, other retailers as well, Rails of Sheffield, Kerno, Freising Hall Models, TMC, Durham Trains of Stanley, 53A Models, Invicta Models, all of these. I'm trying to name check all that I can off the top of my head. They do mail order, and one of the things that Jamie Smith, what about Wales? Yeah, we're ticking Wales. I think we had somebody else on Wales. Well, I've already mentioned Wales, I think. But yep, little Croeso Cymru. Oh, my Welsh pronunciation is rubbish. Nefoddwen Yochavi, Jocham Var. So yeah, we got Wales. Who's in the house? Wales is in the house. Let's have a look. Charles Curtis, I live in Plymouth, Indiana. Yes, Indiana. Right, we've got another state there. Ding! We've ticked another one off. I use Hattons most of the time, but I do think Rails does a good job too. Yeah, definitely. We must mention the other people. Rails do a good job too, and I'll get there in the end. Like meanwhile, back at the ranch, I must look up that picture again. I've got a little meme picture I put up because I seem to use that a lot. When you order from overseas, outside of the European area, you don't pay VAT. It's classed as a sort of like an export sale or something. So VAT here is 20%. Yeah, that's right, 20% tax. But if you're overseas, you don't pay that. You don't have to pay tax. And a lot of these big mail order companies like Rails, like Kerno, like Invicta, like Hattons, they deduct the VAT because you don't have to pay it. And that deduction pays for your postage. So basically, you're getting the mail order service for the same price as what we're getting it over here. And, that's great. So you can get, stuff posted to Australia. And, hi, Jenny. Just back from the UK to sunny Germany. Ding. We got Germany now. Great. We're getting these. I need to make a note, so I haven't got a pen or paper. But see, where have we got name check? We've got New York City in Pennsylvania, in America, and Indiana. So we've got USA ticked off. Ding. We've got Wales, and we had London. Somebody in London, but it's United Kingdom. Ding. Germany. Ding. Cyprus. Ding. New Zealand. Yep. Ding. Queensland, which is in Australia. Ding, ding, ding. Oh, Delaware. Mr. Dreaded 88, Delaware. Yeah, we're going to get... is somebody keeping count of how many states in America we've managed to remember the names of? No helping us, the Americans in the audience. We're trying to work this out because they don't teach this sort of stuff in the UK. We get our knowledge of the geography of... Alabama. Yes, there is another one. Ding, 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 ding. Let's tick that off. Jamie Smith, you got Iceland. Oh, somebody in Iceland... because mums go to Iceland. If you're not in the UK, that's just like, what are you talking about? So it's advert. There's a chain of shops that do frozen food called Iceland. Ham Shackleton. The only thing special about where I live is I'm about 20 miles from you. Woohoo! Ohio. EOTO 2001. Ohio, USA. Ding! Yeah, we missed off Ohio. How could I forget Ohio? But yeah, how many states? Can anybody think of any states that we've? Jamie Smith, frozen foods. Oh right, so you were sort of. I want chips. Whilst you're there, get chips. Derek Grant, I'm just along the road from Burnt Island, Fife. Yeah, because we did the. Let me just go back to the pictures, which would be. So if I go to, come on, 8. There we are, Burnt Island, the model. But yeah, Burnt Island 5. So you're in Scotland. So we've got Wales, we've got England, we've got Scotland. We just need somebody from Northern Ireland, and then we've got the full house for the UK, and then we'll get somebody going. But what about Guernsey or Jersey or the Isle of Man, or Shetland or Orkney, all these sort of places. Yeah. New Jersey, Jamie Smith, New Jersey. Grand. Yeah, New Jersey. There's got to be some others around there. The District of Columbia, that's not technically a state. That's in Washington State, but it always gets really complicated. Any Americans here, can I just say this from somebody from outside of America? The way you elect your president is very, very strange to people outside of America. I don't know, maybe Americans find it difficult to follow as well. New Hampshire, we did have Jamie Smith. We did mention New Hampshire, and Mr. Dreaded 88. I did mention Washington. Oh no, wait, Washington DC. Washington in the District of Columbia. That's what the DC stands for, because there's also Washington State, which confusingly is over. I think it's Seattle in the state of Washington. I think it's sort of like way over on the other side of the country. It's really quite strange. Idaho. Have we had Idaho? Yeah, Mr. Dreaded 88, right. Boom! Fear my knowledge. But yeah, Burnt Island, there's the picture on the screen. That is a wonderful model. As I said before, if you get a chance to see Burnt Island at a Model Row exhibition, do take it. It is well worth it. That is a great model. Yeah, Jamie Smith, I know. Is it a state or a place? I don't know. Well, if Americans don't know, then us Brits certainly don't know. Oops, I'm going to get hiccups now. Yeah, today's video... Oh, excuse me, I'm going to burp. Sorry about that. Today's video is brought to you by Diet Pep. Oh, hiccups and I drank that too quick. There we go. I think I've got all the burping gas out. Right. Anyway, Jamie Smith, only another 36 states to name. Oh. Right. Well, look, let's go for this. Right. Washington State, Hawaii, Alaska, California, New Mexico. There's 5. Texas, Nevada, Colorado, North Dakota, South Dakota. That's 10. North Carolina, South Carolina. Let's get them out of the way. New Hampshire, Maine, Rhode Island. That's 15. New England, New York State, New Jersey. Kentucky. Brilliant, Peter Jones. Good man. Got that in. Kentucky. I've forgotten. Did we do Idaho? No, Missouri. We'll get that in. Mississippi. Have I said Hawaii, Ohio? I've lost count now. Anyway, Florida. I already said New Mexico. Florida. Although I know Vermont. We haven't had Vermont. We're going to get there. We're going to name check them all. It's brilliant. I think I need a map of the world. I need like one of these globes, and I can be like Dr. Evil. And it's like, we are going to build our evil volcano lair. Spin the globe. There. It's like, Dr. Evil, but that is where we are now. Great! We won't even have to move. Brilliant. Connecticut, Oregon. Oh, brilliant. We're getting there. We've had New Mexico. Right. Where was I? Oh, yes, right. Anyway, to get back to the trains. Ben Davis, hi. Did you hear that Hornby is making Coca-Cola Christmas train set? The code is R1233 on Hattons. Yes. Not only are they're definitely making it, they did have one in Illinois. Yeah, it's going to be an American states theme going through. We'll get them all in the end. Pennsylvania. Oh, I think we mentioned that right back at the beginning. I've had Alaska, Arizona. I did miss that off. Right, where we? Oh yeah, the Coca-Cola Train. Yes, they are making Coca-Cola Train. It was a surprise actually. They've got this sort of license tie-in. But I think it's genius. And this is something that I've been saying now, actually, for a year or more, about Hornby. Simon Kohler, love him or loathe him, he has really turned Hornby back around. And, a perfectly nice chap when you meet him and talk to him, a great guy. But he has really got his finger on the pulse on what really actually is hitting the mark. And right now, Hornby are on the money. Oh, Mr. Dreaded 88, we've had Mississippi, and Peter Jones, we've had Texas. Oh dear, it's all the ones sort of around the Great Lakes you're going to have to come up with now. Where's Indianapolis? Which state is Indianapolis in? John Nutman, at Club anyway, speak later, bye. Bye to you, good to have you along, and don't forget as well, next week, Tennessee, yes, we haven't had Tennessee. Oh, how could I forget Tennessee? Because they do whiskey. Kentucky does as well, and I forgot them. But yeah, next Monday live stream at 7 o'clock. Erie, Indiana. Jamie Smith, I like the name of the states. Those who live there have an unfair advantage on us from across the pond. Yeah, it's one of those things. Actually, it's probably a quiz thing. Name as many states as you can. You get a point for each one, so 50 points available. Puerto Rico may become a state. There's a lot of rumours about this. It's a protectorate at the moment, I believe. But could become a state. Jamie Smith, Indy 500. David Trent, I miss Zippy. That's me doing a zip thing, by the way. I'm not very good at impressions. Wisconsin. Of course, there's a battleship. There's Iowa, Wisconsin, and New Jersey, I think, with the big Iowa-class battleships. Right. Trainspotting Southeast. Sorry, late. Got back from work. Don't worry. You can always catch up on the live streams. They go up and stay up on YouTube, so you can actually catch up with anything that you've missed. Go back and I'm going to say rewatch, but rehear Actually, no, yeah, rewatch. It's not a podcast. But I haven't eaten, so I'm getting scatterbrained at the moment. What was I talking? Oh, yeah. Michigan. Yeah. Stop it! Oh, my OCD is making me need to read them out. Is somebody keeping count? What are we up to now? The Coca-Cola. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, Jenny was talking about the Coca-Cola train. Yeah, Simon Kohler has got a knack for picking things which modelers, not just modelers want, but which fill a niche. And the Coca-Cola train, yes, it is happening. They had fully liveried up versions in the cabinet on the Hornby stand. And, Mark Wilson, too much red wine has me in a state. Does that count? Probably not, but it's a good state to be in. And I think that it's going to do wonders at Christmas. Because love it or loathe it, Coca-Cola have kind of really... I mean, they've taken ownership of some of the Christmas things to the extent where... You know that Father Christmas is supposed to be wearing green. He wears red now because Coca-Cola have been so effective in their advertising since the turn of the last century that people now assume that he wears red. But that is not so. Santa Claus, Father Christmas, good old Saint Nick, originally wore green until the Coca-Cola Corporation assimilated him into their advertising strategy. But that's going to sell as a novelty thing for Christmas. But I think there's also going to be people who use it as a basis for scratch building and just for a bit of fun. So yes, very much so. The Coca-Cola train is happening. And, Timber Surf, that's a clever observation, actually. Will Backman bring out the Pepsi train? Yes, other Cokes are available. There's Pepsi there, just to keep the balance up. Oh, Zoe, if you are watching this, please get chips. I'm starving. Actually, I really fancy a pizza now. This is the trouble. When you're hungry, you just start fantasizing about all the food you want. And then you go out shopping and you buy everything. You basically buy the meal 10 times over. Let's have a look. Ned's Trains. Hello, Jenny. Did you visit Ribble last weekend? I'm told there was a Class 56 that turned up that a lot of people were going on about online. But no, I didn't do the Ribble Steam Railway. I was at Ali Pali over the weekend, and I'm just so busy at the moment. I think my friend Brian might have gone because he was going on about it, the Class 56 in particular. Let's have a look. Looking back through the comments. Nathan Chu, does anybody know what the dates for next year's Ali Pali are? I don't know. The best thing to do would be have a Google. The MRC site may tell you, but I'm not sure. It's immediately after this one, so they probably will know the dates, but whether or not it's yet been publicised, I don't honestly know. It has to be said, so I don't know. Somebody else may know, may be able to tell us. Leslie Dickinson, hi everyone, sorry for being late, don't worry, never apologise for being late. Jenny's live Monday chat, dip in and out as and when you want, it's brilliant. Oh, what's that? Ned's Trains, got in the cab of the Class 56, only because it was my first day volunteering at Ribble. Good score. Let's have a look. Train Sporting Southeast working on Royal Scot today. Cool. Tim Ward, yeah. Let's have a look. Hi Jenny, thanks for the chat at Ali Pali about your attic railway. I was impressed with your speed. I'm constructing my attic railway at the moment and you are well ahead of me, Tim. It was great to meet you too. It was great to meet everybody at Ali Pali. And yeah, I think as I may have explained at the time, progress looks rapid at the moment because woodworking and the actual DIY aspects, so the lining out the loft, the doing the floor, the baseboards even, that sort of thing I'm exceptionally good at, even if I say so myself. It's something I find quite easier to do. So I made a lot of progress very quickly, but it's going to slow down a bit because the nature... I think like I was saying to somebody about the wiring. You spend 3 hours underneath the boards doing wiring, and actually there's nothing to see particularly for it, but you get maybe 2-3 points that then work. And so progress will appear to slow down. I've also, as I said before, I've got a big project on over this summer, doing some it's super secret at the moment. You will find out about it when it's eventually shown on television, but can't talk about it, won't talk about it. But you will see the fruition of that about something. Ah, yes, Tim Wood. Yes, you said to me about the wine. Yeah, definitely. All that work, and it doesn't look like anything's changed topside. But I've got the ballast, and I need to get a picture actually. It will turn up in the Friday's update. Probably won't be this Friday because I was at Ali Pali, so I haven't made any progress in the loft, and there's a lot to show you about the Ali Pali stuff. But the next time we put up a loft railway progress video, I'm going to put up a little bit about the ballast I'm using. Now, the ballast, I've said before, use the kiln-dried sand that's sold for block paving. You can get it from builders merchants. I'm not a one for plugging. I don't like to show favouritisms for builders merchants, but what I can tell you, the one that I used has the initials B and Q. But I bought a big bag of only about 25 kilos of this, and it's kiln dried. It must be kiln dried, and if the bag has got moisture contamination, don't buy it. Buy another. And if that particular branch has, for whatever reason, put these bags out in the rain and they've got wet in them, find yourself another builder's merchant, because it needs to be bone dry or you just can't use it for this task. But I've actually compared it to some of the bags of Pico ballast. And the Pico ballast is, you can't tell them apart. It's the same stuff. But I think the Pico ballast is something like a £5 RRP for 200 grams. And I've bought 25 kilos for about £4. And that's what I'm going to be using up in the loft. And I've also got a ballast spreader. I'm going to be giving that a whirl, and I'm going to see how that performs. I think it's come from Bachmann. So I'll be able to give feedback on whether these labour-saving devices actually do make ballasting a lot easier. Now, I don't mind ballasting, it has to be said. Ballasting is something I find quite therapeutic, but I know a lot of people really, they'd rather have their teeth drilled than do the ballasting. So I've got a labour-saving device, and I may do a little bit of a review on that, because I'm curious myself just whether it lives up to them saying, it makes it so much easier. And I've got a lot of tractor ballast, so I'm going to give it a whirl, and if it is something that makes stuff so much easier, then I will be passing on that info to you, and I'll tell you what the product is when I review it. Let's have a look. Mark Wilson, what are you doing on TV? Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. Say no more, say no more. No, I can't tell you. I really can't tell you. Probably somebody's going to say you shouldn't tell people you're on TV again. But I do TV stuff from time to time. And there's some stuff that's getting filmed here in May. And then there's some other stuff later in the year. But I'm not going to tell you what it is, because I get into a great deal of trouble. Yeah, Brockwell Lane, hate ballasting points. You just got to be very careful about it. I don't find it too bad. It's just it slows the progress down a lot, especially if you've got very complex junctions. Then it can become a chore, but just take it in small bite-sized chunks. Let's have a look. Transporting southeast, off to Germany and Easter holidays to Frankfurt. Also, if you get a chance, pop into Miniature Wunderland. A friend of mine's been over there. He's not a railway modeller, but they went to Miniature Wunderland, and he was blown away by it. And he said, they know who you are. Well, he's the person he talked to. He said, yes, my comedy German accent. I apologise to anybody who's German or has connections to Germany, because I sound like the stereotypical German from some kind of World War II film, and I don't mean to come across as patronising or offensive, but oh yes, we know this Jenny Kirk. We have heard of her YouTube channel. Was pretty much it was the paraphrase to me. So I felt really quite humbled by that. I said to my friend, oh, so he then presumably went on to go, and she's a useless modeler. Oh, we just laugh and laugh. How funny it was. That's not really a German accent, but there we go. Right, let's have a look. What else have we got? Barnabas Junction Model Railway. Good evening, Jenny. I know what the secret is. Winky face. That probably means that maybe you're involved in television of some sort and you can't talk about it either, and maybe we're talking about the same thing. I don't know. Angus's Trains. Hi to you too. Jamie Smith. Ham Shackleton. Have you been watching the progress of the proposed GT3 by KR models? I have to say I haven't. I was aware, somebody told me, I think I probably saw prototype pictures of the GT3 being banded around when it was announced, but I haven't been following it, I have to say. But certainly an interesting model, and now that we've got most of the mainstream models covered, it's something actually Simon Kohler talked about in his his interviews at the MRC stand, was that industrial does sell well. They found that it sells well. They tested the market with the Sentinel shunter, and it kind of opened the doors for industrial, and the W4 Peckett is officially a runaway success story for Hornby. It's basically the model that is now just going to keep on giving, and I guess it's going to keep on giving well into the future, and it's a great model. They've also got the B2 Peckett, the 48DS Ruston. So industrial is a huge untapped area, and I think we're going to see more of that. But in terms of the stuff that ran mainline on British Railways, we're down to the very sort of weird and wonderful, the wacky. I'm still waiting for a fell, but the sort of the wacky one-offs and the test beds for various things. We've had Falcon, what else hasn't been done? I guess let's have a think. What hasn't been done in model form? Well, 21s and 29s are nearly there. Class 30s technically haven't been done, but I suppose have they been done? Have Hornby released a Class 31 as a 30? Although I'm told that a lot of the vents and stuff are totally different, so I think Class 30 is one that's not been done, and it was actually quite a large class. They all got converted to 31s. Mark Wilson, a new APT would be nice. I thought Rapido did one for the NRM. Let's have a look. Jamie Smith, you can say it on here. Secrets are all safe, I was told. Haha. Just secret between you, me, and the rest of the English-speaking world. Let's have a look. Mark Wilson, I don't think you're on TV, are you? Reverse psychology. Maybe you're all on TV and I'm the audience. Strange. Let's have a look. Angus's Trains. Can you show pictures of GT3? Never heard of it. Let's see what we can find on Google being our friend. Let's have a look. Google. Let's have a look. GT3. Let's see if I can find a picture. A spinning beach ball of death. There we are. GT3 train. Let's have a look. Aha, right. So, let's have a look. I think a lot of these are in train sims. So, let's have a look. This is basically the GT3. So, this is something that's come through Pinterest, but I'm not sure who the original picture belongs to. But that locomotive you're seeing there, which looks like a weird, almost like a streamlined 460 steam locomotive with a tender, is actually powered by a gas turbine rather than steam, and had a habit of setting fire to things like signals, footbridges, that kind of thing, because the exhaust was incredibly hot. I don't think it was that successful, but that picture there that you're seeing, that's the GT3. Let's have a look. Brockwell Lane, no Class 88 yet. Yeah, some of the really, really modern stuff as well. So Class 88, but also Class 1 shunter, Class 2 shunter, Class 6 shunter, because I don't count the old Hornby model. It wasn't at all accurate and was really just a means to have a vague diesel outline ready to run railroad model. And then technically we have not had a Class 10, a Class 11, a Class 12, but they all look very much like a Class 8 shunter, it has to be said. A Class 13 is the Master and Slave unit. I'll bring up a picture of a Class 13. because this is one I'd really like to see. So class 13, as you can see, it's let's have a look. Rail photo prints, very dirty there, but what you're seeing there, where the mouse pointer is circling, that's the master unit and that's the slave unit. What you're seeing behind is the next class 13, so that's two class 13s together. There's another class 13, so 13001. That's another. So that's a fairly biggie that people have done their own versions. Let's have a look. Unusual visitor to Barrow Hill. This will be back in the day. Class 13. Who's Barrow Hill Collections is the website. There's a lot of details about. Let's have right. Yeah, class 13. So there's actually, if you go to this website, there's a lot of information on them. Actually, that's an interesting website. I'm let's have a look. So I'm gonna leave that actually in a tab. That's quite interesting. I might read that after the live stream. That's quite interesting. So other ones, class 1. Let's try and find a picture. For those who don't know what a BR class 1 looked like, this is, let's have a look. So this is an eBay listing. So that's the class 1. Cute little thing, really, isn't it? As you can see, 2 of them did get tops numbers, though I believe only one of the 2 ran. I can't remember which one was. That's 01002. That was interesting. Which was the one? Let's have a look. Wikipedia. I'm just interested to see. Right. 01001 was the one that was not used after 1973. There's a bit of a debate as to whether 01001 actually got used with the tops number on. I've seen photos of it with the tops number on, but it's debatable whether it ever actually worked with the after numbering into tops. The class 2, let's have a look at the class 2. This is the class 2, a little bit similar, but let's have a look for a good picture. They lasted long enough to get tops numbers, so let's have a look. So that's 02003. It appears to be in BR green, but with the tops number. Interesting little thing. A lot of these did get sold out of service into industrial use. So there's a picture of one. I think that's actually at Loughton Metals, which if you drive up the M6, if you know where to look, the bridge is still there, but there's now office blocks on the site where Loughton Metals used to be. So that's one of the class 2s sold out of service. Let's have a look. Peter Jones, were they used as dock shunters? Are we looking at about... well, the class 13 was purely for shunting Tildesley Marshalling Yard. The class 1s were used... I think they were used in docks, anywhere where it's really tight curves and fairly low traffic. But by and large, the class 1 shunters were remembered for the Holyhead breakwater railway, where all they did was they hauled blocks of stone out for reinforcing the breakwater. The class 2s were used for shunting in, I think, around the Liverpool and Birkenhead area. So there are photographs of the class 2 shunting on the main line. So I'm just having a look. I can't find. I have seen a photograph of a class. Rail Online. This is the class 2, and that looks possibly to be somewhere in Liverpool. Not finding any other. Let's see, where's that? Newton Heath. So that's at Newton Heath Depot. So they lasted into the 70s, I believe, and then let's have a look. Class 6. So class 6. Probably more familiar with these, lasted into the 1980s. This particular locomotive, 06003, does survive. that appears to be it, at the Manchester Museum of Science and Industry. So as you can see, a little bit different to the Hornby model, but certainly it would be nice to see a full fat version of that. Mark Wilson, do you remember the low cab 08 shunters? Can't remember why the cabs were reduced in height, can you? Yeah, Brockwell Lane, low bridge on a China clay branch, I think. Not on a China clay branch, it was the Berryport and somewhere in South Wales. There was a branch, I think it was to do with getting coal from a colliery that was built on in the actual an old canal. And they had to cut down the Class 8s to fit under the bridges because they were basically canal bridges. And originally they'd used Class 3s, and that's why the lowered roof Class 3s principally existed, was yeah, there we go. Leslie Gilpin's given the name up there. I'm not even going to try and pronounce that, but it's somewhere in South Wales. Originally Class 3s with the cut down roof, and then when the Class 3s were replaced with the Class 8s, they cut those down. And when that line closed, the Class 8s were then used as ordinary Class 8s, but when they refurbished the Metrolink, the Class 8s with the cut-down roof and the cut-down bonnets were hired out for that, something to do with clearances underneath the electrical, the overhead cabling. Let's have a look. Brockwell Lane, Hornby broke the mould for the Clan. Yeah, I think that there's been a few incidents with tools. Certainly, it's the case that the old ex-mainline, ex-LMS Midland Railway type coaches that Bachmann had in their range forever and a day, that tooling broke, which is why there's suddenly no more of those. I think the ambulance train set was the last to use it, or the railway children's set. Let's have a look. Vampira, hi to you. Brockwell Lane, they're very expensive if you can still find the Clan. Yeah, if they've broken the tools, then that's going to actually affect that, yeah. Leslie Dickinson, I remember the Class 2 shunting around Liverpool and Manchester in the late 60s. Yeah, you're right, Jenny. Yeah, definitely. And some of them lasted long enough to get the tops numbers, and I think they may have lasted until possibly as late as sort of 76, 77, I'm not sure. But a lot of them were sold on into industrial service. So there's a lot of options for the Class 2s, the Class 1s, and the Class 6s to a lesser extent for different livery options. Now, the Class 6s, different livery options, probably more a post-privatisation thing. I think 06, 003 may even have had Harry Needle Railroad Company, yellow and black. I'm not sure on that. Somebody will obviously correct me. They've had BR green, BR blue, with and without tops numbers, although a lot of the ones that you see, so like the Hornby fictitious models, I don't believe they ever carried these liveries in real life. Where's that? Oh, that's at Darley Dale. So that's a Class 2, a Class 6, and a Class 3 by the look of that. Looking down for more prototype pictures. Actually, I don't think the Class 6 appears to have carried many liveries on the prototype. I'm just looking down. This is it at Rowsley. Gives you a good view of the back of the cab. But no, I don't think the Class 6 has particularly carried other livery. Mark Wilson, why were some of the Class 33s called Slim Jims? Well, originally they were planned to be classed as a Class 34, but in the end, 34 was never used. They were just classed as part of the Class 33s, and it was to fit through a tunnel on the Tunbridge and Hastings line, which was very, very... Basically, the contractors, when they built it, cocked up. And it needed to be reinforced. They built it to a minimum gauge. So when it was reinforced, it made it under gauge. And that meant that there was rolling stock that had to be made narrower. And then when you get through to diesel days, the Slim Jims, the Class 33s that were originally planned to be classed as Class 34s but weren't, they were slightly narrower specifically to be able to work that line and fit through the tunnels. Philip Page, I like to find old wagons in farmyards. Yeah, you still see a lot of them about. And actually, they're still rescuing some what are comparatively rare old vans. See, grounded van body. Let's just go and have a look. Yeah, so basically, if we go there, that's just as Phil's workbench is where this image is. So these are some grounded vans being basically used as a garden shed. There's another one here, grounded van body. That looks to be a preserved railway, but certainly that's probably been rescued from a farm. But they don't have to look shabby. So this, this looks like it might actually be Didcot. Where is this? Let's have a look. Where it doesn't say where that is, but yeah, sometimes people did look after them. So actually, they didn't necessarily have to be in really awful condition. Here's some that haven't been particularly looked after. What else have we got? You can actually buy ready-to-plant bodies. So this shows the Graham Farish version, but I know that Bachman did a 00 version as well. But certainly some of these have since been rescued. Others have just sort of disintegrated into the ground. This, I think I recognise that. Yeah, Nantmore on the Tannock Valley Railway. I've actually been and seen this. It's an LMS 20-ton brake van body. So the brake vans were also sold on to use as these sort of sheds. They were actually quite popular apparently because they came with a stove and all sorts. What else have we got? Coaches as well. A lot of coaches got made into bungalows. So strangely enough, they do survive. I'm just looking at it. It gets more and more obscure. Some of the coaches do survive as bungalows and stuff. They were built into them, so they survive in quite good condition, and that's where a lot of these oldie worldy pre-1923 coaches on preserved lines. That's where they're actually being found from. Let's have a look. Stuart Muir, hi Jenny, what do you think of these modular layouts? A good example of modular layout was that Dutch layout what I saw at Worley. These layouts are built in sections. Yeah, basically they've got a particular specification, and it's basically your baseboard needs to be this high off the ground, this length, this width, and then there's very accurate specifications for where the track goes to the next module. So they have to have these standardized connections, and then you're pretty much free to build whatever you want. And the idea is that people can build a module or multiple modules, which they then can take to the club, connect them all together, and you can have a big layout. But your little section at home will be like a small layout, and it makes it more manageable. You can have a lovely big layout, usually built with a club, which then everybody's got a little bit of. So they are a good idea. They're not for everybody. It's not something that I would do, but that's because I've got the space for a big layout. So I wouldn't go for that. But I can understand people who they, as part of a club, and they're a really good idea. Right, let's just have a look. Graph B, Hastings diesel electric multiple units built to a narrow profile for the same route. New Mills Model Railway. There used to be a box van near a railway near me, a current railway anyway. It was stood there for years, rotting away, since been removed when developers moved onto the land. Yes, sadly, a lot of these things are still getting destroyed. If you go down the M1, just before you get to Meadowhall, heading south, before I think it's junction 34, on your left-hand side, as the hillside rises away, there's about 7 grounded van bodies that some of them are little more than just the metal work left. They've rotted away so badly. But there's a whole load in the field there. Leslie Dickinson, the same reason the school's class cabs and tenders were shaped to fit the tunnel on the Hastings line, going back to the Slim Jims. Graph B, there is a semi-derelict Shark brake van parked up at Shenfield Station, been there for years. Yeah, that's sort of another category. Stuff that's been abandoned on the network. They used to be on the line down towards Totnes in Devon, I can remember, I'm not even sure where it is, it's so long since I've been down there, but I remember a factory unit that had once been rail connected and no longer so, and the yard where the sidings was terribly overgrown, but in the trees there was a 16-ton mineral wagon. I'd be very interested to know whether it actually made it to preservation. I've also seen an old sort of 1930s era tank wagon, complete with wheels and underframe, getting used in Birkenhead docks in a factory unit which has since been demolished, and I'd love to know what happened to that tank wagon. I do hope it went for preservation, because it was complete with buffers, draw gear, W-irons, the wheels, everything was there. And the factory unit wasn't even rail connected anymore, but it was this sort of piece of inset track work up against the factory unit, and they used it as the bunker for the heating oil for the factory. It was just a convenient tank for that. It just happened to be a tank wagon that presumably arrived originally by rail, but then, over the years the rails have been severed, but the tank wagon was still there. Where else have I seen abandoned wagons? Certainly as you go down into London, there's quite a few abandoned wagons in a yard somewhere. If you go on the train from Newcastle Central out towards Sunderland, there certainly used to be the motor rail ramp wagons abandoned in sidings just down from there. So, they are out there. Some get rescued, unfortunately. Some get scrapped, which is a little bit sad. Ham Shackleton, there's a foreign flat wagon abandoned in a spur near Knutsford Station. Oh, right. On the march to Chester line, carry end by mistake across the channel, but has been dumped because it's out of gauge. Came in by mistake across the channel, but has been dumped because it's out of gauge. Can they not send it back by the route that it came in? And presumably its owners would very much have liked it back. I mean, presumably it's been there for years, it's been written off, but one wonders what the paperwork would have entailed for that. Because we're very sorry, your van is in Knutsford, in another country. How would you like it back? By the way, we're not allowing it to go by rail. Mark Wilson, what do you think to societies building new locos from scratch, i.e. Tornado and the P2? I'm not a fan if it's not a pure project that uses a donor loco like the Baby Deltic. Surely that's a mudblood. I think it's a really good idea for bringing back extinct locos. I don't have anything against it. Beachy Head is another one. But then there's others where they repurpose another similar locomotive, which for whatever reason maybe a no hope restoration project. So some of the locomotives that came out of Bury Scrapyard didn't have tenders. Were in quite a state, and I believe that some of those, there's one, I think it might even be at the Bluebell Railway, where they're making a tank engine version of a locomotive where they've got none of the tank engine versions survive, but the tender versions do in some numbers, and they have this one that's no tender, and they're going to alter it and rebuild it as the extinct version of the class. I think it's one of the Riddle standards. Philip Page, there used to be 2 wagons dumped out just outside Bolton Station on the Falmouth side. Still see them on Google Earth. Yeah, those were sea cow ballast hoppers, and they were removed when the electrification program happened because they finally were able to put in road access to road them out. Now, I understand that they were gifted to the East Lancs Railway, and certainly when I was there were 2 ballast hoppers in the sidings north of Bury Bolton Street, and I hope that they are those wagons. I'd like to think that they did get saved, that they didn't just get cut up for scrap. Google Earth can be a little bit out of date. When it updates, they'll appear to disappear, but trust me, they have already disappeared from the ground. Leslie Gilpin, into the 70s and maybe later, there used to be a pair of tank wagons and a very, very early London and North Western Railway tender underframes. I think they went to one of the replica projects at Northwich. There was a tender. There's actually a tender that was saved from somewhere that turned out to be the proper tender to go with the Great Northern Single, which is why after all these years, the tender that it's had in preservation dates back to when it was originally preserved. Its original tender, I believe, was cascaded on for further use and sort of disappeared into the woodwork, presumably, and then ultimately got scrapped. The tender that it was paired with is a tender that came off a freight locomotive, and they paired it with that so that they could reuse the tender, and also because that tender being smaller, it meant that the Stirling single, that was it Stirling single? Yeah. It meant that the locomotive with its smaller tender looked less imposing, so when they put it next to the newer locomotives, it kind of emphasised, like, oh, look at the new one, isn't it great? Let's have a look. Graph B, the project to recreate an LMS 10,001 diesel looks interesting. Yeah, I heard some rumours about this, and I must admit, when the Class 23 Baby Deltic project was announced, and they were going to use a Class 37 and sort of like cut and shut it, I have to honestly hold my hands up and say I thought that's never going to work, but it does seem to be working. So I think that some of these extinct diesel classes are going to be built and will work. The Class 23 has blazed the trail, so it'll be interesting to see if some of the others will be made. I'd love to see, I think one of the easiest ones to do would be a Class 13. I know we come back to the Class 13. I do like that locomotive, and I think it would be relatively easy to make the slave unit of a Class 13 from a scrap Class 8. Just have a big block of concrete or even a scrap engine block in there. It doesn't need to actually run in and of itself, and just have that pulled around by a regular Class 8. Maybe even make up some fake extended buffer beam skirts, which on the real ones were quite thick steel to give extra ballasting weight. You don't need the weight if it's just going to be trundling around on preserved lines, but it would be nice to see Class 13 re-emerge from nowhere. Alan Reynolds, hi Jenny, managed to visit Barry Island siding an 81 when there were about 30 engines in line. I went in an F88 tractor unit, no trailer. Yeah, the good old Volvo F88. Great motors they were. Brockwell Lane, what do you think about the Class 50s taken out of preservation and sold to GB Rail Freight? Didn't know about that. As long as they don't get scrapped, that's fine. I presume they're going to use them for rail tours. Just as long as they don't get scrapped. I know that, is it 50040? Was it 050? There was one of the Class 50s was belatedly scrapped. It had been notionally preserved, but never turned a wheel in preservation, and was just generally a rotten shell. And that did get scrapped quite late on, and that there was sort of mixed feelings about that. Let's have a graph B. Based on a Class 58 underframe with, I believe, Class 77 bogies. So are there spare Class 77 bogies around? I know a number of Class 77s survive by virtue of having been sold on to the Dutch State Railways. No, I'm not even going to try and pronounce it. NS, I think, is the initials. I hear the sound downstairs of Zoe returning. I wonder if Chips... Hi, you alright? Yes, I have made the living room look like a bomb site, and I can't talk about why it looks like a bomb site. Yeah, crack the heating on, would you? It's cold up here. It's gone cold outside. So she's coming. Ooh. How are we doing? Oh, an hour. We're nearly up to the hour and 3/4. But I was hoping you might have brought a bag of chips or something. But
well, I actually just came upstairs to ask, do you want anything?
What are you having for tea?
Well, I was going to make a pasta bake if you want.
Oh, make a pasta bake! Yay!
Monkey puss?
Yeah, what you got?
Whatever you want. I'm offering.
Oh, are you going out to the shop?
Yeah, if you want.
This is great, isn't it? This is.
Hi, Wilson the butler.
Oh yeah, anybody who remembers children's BBC from a certain vintage will remember that.
The 90s, the early 90s.
Early 90s, Ed the Duck, yeah.
Ed the Duck was the best mascot, and I will fight anyone.
Do you want to come and actually put your face on camera?
No, I've got cold sores.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, Mark Wilson, I am a fan of the new GBRF livery. Oh, have they repainted them? I'm not a fan of 5003 in Intercity liveries. They never carried. The prototype did carry Intercity because they painted it in Intercity. So there, 5003. Will you stop it?
Would you like a drink from the shop?
Drink. So you going over to the shop?
Yes.
I'd really love garlic bread to go with the pasta bake. I'm really craving chips, but I think it's because I'm absolutely famished at the moment.
I will make the pasta bake when I get back. Garlic bread and drinky buzz.
Get some crisps. I really fancy some crisps. This is great. A la carte service here.
Drinks.
Drinks.
I'll get you a glass of wine if you want.
Actually, I'll have a glass of that aniseedy stuff. The sambuca. Sambuca. Got sambuca left over from my 40th birthday party. I got the licorice sambuca. So that's when is the heating on? Yay! Anyway, right. Cottesmore. Hey Jenny, late to the party. Sorry, been painting more of the shed baseboards tonight. Don't worry. Never apologise for it. You're not late, and you can also catch up with everything. In fact, yeah. Brockwell Lane, loads of photos online of the 50s in GBRF. Yeah, I'm way ahead of you. So let's have a look. Class 50. Let's have a look. Network Southeast. Yeah, Class 50s really suit Network Southeast. It has to be said. Oh yeah, here we are. Right. 3, 8. That's the Intercity one. And I'm sorry, I have to disagree with you. I think that really suits the Class 50. It has to be said, really does suit the Class 50. And does anybody know, has a model been announced in that livery? Because I, for one, would buy it. See, now, the livery which I'm not so keen on is this. I don't think it really suits it, but, what do I know? Let's have a look. There's the Class 50 in... What's that? That's a fictitious one, I believe. I'm looking for... Oh, what's this? Load Hall. When did they do... Is this photoshopped, or did they actually do it in Load Hall? Actually, that doesn't look bad. I'll be honest with you. That doesn't look bad in that. Is that photoshopped? Chips, Derek Grant. Oh, you the man. And Mark Wilson. You the man. Chips. Ooh. Ralph West. Haha, you guys are ace. Oh, thank you. We do our best. I'm looking for...
Sambuca.
Oh, yes. Sambuca.
I'll be back.
It's the Sambuca from above. And look I love that. It's got like a springy pouring mechanism. So, what we have now is that Jenny will get ever more incoherent. Antica Sambuca with licorice flake. Where's the camera? There. Right. People say the GBRF livery doesn't suit them, but if they didn't save it, they would have been scrapped. I thought. I've just found the picture there. Actually, yeah, it does suit them. I'll give them that. I don't think they would have been scrapped. I mean, there would have been a big outcry because, it's a case of when they're gone, they're gone. There was a threat, I remember a while ago, the Porterbrook, there was a Class 55 that somebody said, oh, they're going to strip it for bits and scrap it. And there was a big hoo-ha. And I think that it was more about raising publicity to get a good price for them. That is nice. Jamie Smith, number 2009, I think I easily named Arc Royal the Class 50. Yeah. I like transport. The reason I was late, I was looking for a crank pin off my 14XX. It went missing when I was replacing the traction tyres. Luckily, I found it. Oh God, yeah. My carpet eats little bits. Eats tools, big tools as well. I can not even move. I put a pair of pliers down and they're gone. Just gone. Let's have a look. Peter Jones, my friend used to drive the Class 50s, drove nearly all of them. I'm not a big one for big diesel locomotives. So Class 47s, I don't own any in model form, and they don't interest me. 56s the same, 58s the same, 60s not interested. 37s, I'm starting to get more of an interest, but for a long time 37s weren't really my thing. But there's something about the Class 50s that I really, really like. And yeah, Graph B, you're absolutely right. Very modern in the GBRF livery. And you wouldn't believe that those are locomotives that are older than me, and I've turned 40. And these locos are older than me. They actually look like brand new locos. Philip Page, just got a new brass pinion cog for my Hornby 91. So I was reading the comment underneath why I'm laughing, but yeah, always good when you get an older model that's broken down back into service. Cottesmore can't beat a good skip. Yeah, I like a good skip, especially when I'm having a clear out. Just fill it with junk and have it taken away. Ham Shackleton, I keep a small neodymium magnet on my bench, then most drop metal bits stick to it rather than bouncing off into oblivion. That is a good idea, but being thwarted by the increasing use of metals like tungsten and brass etch. Yeah, Peter Jones, Class 8s are my love. Have 4 of them, want more. I've got about 15, something like that. I love Gronks. I've got a lot of Gronks. I tend to, if I see a shiny livery on a Gronk, or if I see a Gronk at a price where it would be rude not to, I just buy more and more of them. So I'm really looking forward to the Hornby Class 8 TTS chip, because for me, I've got 4 Hornby Class 8 stroke Class 9s, and I've ordered a TTS chip for all of them, because it's something that actually, when I was at Worley, a lot of people I chatted to, everybody was in agreement that the Hornby TTS chips are a stroke of genius, and it's another example of why Hornby really have their finger well and truly on the pulse. You know, sound for that kind of affordable value, and it's keeping an eye on the next generation, because it's making these things within reach of children, of kids, of teenagers, you know, people where money is tight. Whereas before, to sound fit your locomotive was going to cost you an arm and a leg, you know, pretty much more, as much if not more than what the locomotive cost you. With the TTS sound, you know, your quid's in. And a lot of them, especially the steam ones, you can kind of get away with repurposing them to other locomotives, to which they don't necessarily do a TTS chip for. But quite frankly, TTS is a good sign from Hornby. It's a sign, hopefully, of more things to come, that really they're back on track. Mark Wilson, have they ever done a Class 82? I'm not aware of anybody having done a model of the Class 82, unless the old Hornby 00 model was a Class 82. I'm not actually sure which loco the Hornby 00 electric loco actually was. I'm sure somebody will tell me. But as far as I'm aware, the classes 85, 86 and 87 have been done. I don't think 81, 82, 83, 84 have been done, although I've got this nagging feeling that the Hornby 00 electric model is actually super rare in and of itself, is one of those 4 classes. So yeah, but the Class 83s are actually one which I would love to see modelled, if only because some of them carried intercity livery. So in terms of the shiny livery options, the class, I think it's an 83, or was it an 84? It's either 84 or 83. There's actually some more interesting livery options than, you know, indeed even the 85, which has been produced in model form. That is good, but it's very strong. Leslie Gilpin, trying Hornby was a Class 81, originally with 2 paragraphs. I knew it was probably one of those. It was probably a very good model for its time, actually. Leslie Dickinson, you are so right, Jennings. I remember the days of Hornby 00, hence I'm still into the hobby. Yeah, it used to be a time when, you know, there really were, wagons were pocket money things. And it's something that, you know, I chatted with a lot of people at Ali Pali about. Sorry, the drink is sinking in. I chatted with a lot of people at Ali Pali about it. that we need to keep the hobby accessible to the younger generation, or they will find something else to do. And the best way to do that is to have things that are available for pocket money, be it wagons, be it sound chips. When Granny comes around and says, "Oh, here you are, little Jimmy. Here's some money." There needs to be things available that money can be immediately parlayed off into something for little Jimmy's model railway, because I was once a child. I was once impatient, and I want it now. Money burning a hole in my pocket. If you have to save up for months and months to get something, you're more likely to use that money on something else, and the hobby suffers. The next generation does not get into developing this hobby. They find something else, and as long as you've got stuff that is available for pocket money, then we'll get people into the hobby. And when you look at kids, they can be so fanatically enthusiastic about things. They can be into something far more than an adult ever will. But you have to be able to spark that interest, and you do that by having stuff available that they can afford. It's like the guy at Woodland Scenics who showed me how to make some of these trees, wonderful trees that Woodland Scenics do, and I was really impressed by them. And we were talking about just this, and basically he says, we get some kids in and we show them how to make these trees, and they have a go themselves at making these trees. And he said, you can see it, them getting hooked. It's like, wow, this is something I've made. This is brilliant. And he says, you just know when you've got somebody that's a hobby for life, because they just really get into it. They become innovative, and they are the future of the hobby, because they come up with new ways of doing things. They produce amazing models. Because only a child really could become so obsessed by something that they would happily spend days and days making a model to perfection. Because a child can be hooked into an interest in something so in depth. I remember at that kind of age you'd get into Lego, and you would produce these amazingly complex models, and you would sit there and you would work out ways of doing things. Getting into modelling scenery for the first time, and you would find innovative ways of making that scenery the best you could, and you would quite happily put so much time into it that if you can interest the new generation into this hobby by doing that, by keeping it accessible, then the hobby will continue and it will survive. And we have to be mindful of this. We can't price people out of the market, otherwise the hobby will wither and die. And us older people who are lucky enough to have a disposable income, who are lucky enough to have the space to build a model, we will suffer as well. If the next generation does not come into the hobby, then the market will shrink, the prices will increase, and it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy that we will all become priced out of the market. We've got George, don't mind paying out for locos, but the cost of carriages and trucks is getting a bit nuts. Those birdcage coaches by Bachmann at £50 to £60 each is just not affordable. I totally agree with you. And it's something that, it was refreshing to hear the guy from Woodland Scenics saying about, getting people into the hobby, finding ways of hooking them, getting their interest, and, giving them things that they can afford. And, I remember when, I was lucky to get back into the hobby right at the point where the cheap stuff started to come through from China, the high quality but very affordable. And I can remember buying Bachmann 16-ton mineral wagons, brand new, for like £4.50, £5. And, that is pocket money. But now the RRP is over £20. And all of a sudden, they're not pocket money models anymore. I remember Model Rail advertising one of their special editions. They did the olive green departmental ventilated van. It was a plywood ventilated van, and they did it as one of their special models, and they actually marketed it as pocket money models. you can't do that anymore. It's so expensive. And yeah, Andrew Keeley, you're absolutely right. There's always the railroad range, and a lot of people poo-poo the railroad range, but what it does is it provides a very affordable way for the new generation to get into model railways. And I was talking to Lawrence of the MRC about this, because he was really taken by the Paddington set, and it's another one of these tie-in merchandising type things that Hornby's done. They've done, the Coca-Cola one, and there's this Paddington set, but it is aimed completely at the very bottom end of the market, where young people coming. Oh, excuse me, sorry, gas from the Coke. Coming into the market. And I think he said it was about £30. And you're a full set for £30. Yeah, it's really basic. It runs on plastic track. It's not something that you would add to a model railway, but it's the starting point. And that's the most important thing, the starting point. It's like I say about so many things. The hardest part is starting. Once you've started a project, it almost like feeds itself. And certainly, I liken this. Somebody was asking about publishing, and it's something I always say about writing books. When people say, how do you write a book? And I always say the hardest part is the start. You sit there, there's a blank document on the computer, and those first few words are the hardest words. But if you can get over that initial hurdle, the book starts to almost feel like it writes itself, and it draws you in. And you keep putting more, and the creative process takes over. And in many ways, the Paddington set from Hornby is that starting point. And it's not something that I will buy. It's not aimed at people like me. And I get a little bit angry in a way that when established modelers poo-poo stuff like that and say, "Oh, what rubbish Hornby's producing," that's not the case. What Hornby are producing is very clever. They are tapping into the new generation and bringing them into the hobby, and that is very important. And from a business perspective for Hornby, they need those people. They can get them in with the Coca-Cola set, with the Paddington set, and there's the Harry Potter stuff, and it's bringing people in. It's providing the nucleus around which the interest will coalesce and condense, and they will, over the years grow and blossom into having this hobby. And it's a very, very rewarding hobby. And, there's a lot of transferable skills in this hobby. It's wrong to look at railway modelers as being like some kind of nerdy anorak wearing thermos flask wielding person. We're not. We are not like that. We are very creative people, and there's a lot of people who might turn their nose up at the notion of railway modelling, because they've heard all these stereotypes and they think we're all weirdos, and we're not. But the creative things that we do are transferable skills, and things like some of the methods of producing scenery and textures. Well, you want to restore some antique furniture. Well, there's a lot of skills you learn in scenery making which are actually really good for French polishing. Wiring up all your points and stuff, you start to understand how electronics work, how electrics work. That is quality transferable skills. Building your baseboards, that's woodworking. You can take that and you can put up shelves around the house. You can repair things like, oh, I've got a door handle that's fallen off, but I'm confident because I build these model railways. It's given me the confidence and the basic skills to be able to fix that. And all of a sudden you find that so many other things in your life are so much easier to do. You're so much better at doing them because you've parlayed those skills from the model making, from the railway modelling, all these different aspects of it into everyday life. It's you understand things better. Things like architecture. You're building these buildings. You start to understand aspects of architecture. You start to understand aspects of planning. With making scenery, you start to understand geography. About geology. About biology of trees and plant life. there are so many skills in this hobby that you are learning in doing it. And one of the things that the TV programs, things like Great Model Railway Challenge, have worked wonders for, is dispelling that stereotype that has unfortunately been allowed to pervade through the media and then into people's psyche at large, and make them think that we're like weirdos with anoraks and like thermos flask, and we're there at the end of a railway platform going, oh, I must jot down these numbers. And, you know, it's dispelling that. It's making people see that actually this is a really great hobby. And, you know, there's a lot of other hobbies that are very similar to ours. And, you know, people should, you know, getting a bit of cross-pollination, you know, crossover between the different hobbies, like war gamers. People who do, you know, I remember going and sitting, I went to the local Games Workshop shop in Bolton, and just looking at how they do things. We mustn't be insular, and you know, we must be receptive to other facets of what is essentially modelling as a hobby, this sort of broad church of modelling. And if we bring that into our modelling gets better, and surely there are things that like wargamers can learn from us. And you know, it's this community thing. I think the booze is starting to lead my train of thought. But let's have a look. Andrew Keeley, 95% of my 00 wagons are new Daypole. Very affordable. Yeah, definitely. Leslie Gilpin, raid the second-hand stalls at exhibitions. Brilliant. Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. Hereford Model Centre. They had a stall at Ali Pally. He didn't have his box of second-hand Pico point motors with him, but I'm going to give it a plug for this because I bought a lot from him in the past. And he does second-hand Pico point motors. Certainly used to be about 50p. But might have put his prices up, and you know he's perfectly entitled to. But even, you know, like £1.50 a point motor, it's a lot cheaper than the RRP, and this keeps things affordable. I bought a load of track off him, second-hand track, completely mint Pico Streamline points I need for in the loft, and I was paying less than half RRP for these points. And, you know, there's ways and means. What else did I get second-hand? I think they were the only things I got second-hand because that was what I was in the market for. But I was also seeing locomotives, mint in box, for like the £40, £50 mark. So the stuff is there if you hunt around, definitely. Let's have a look. Philip Page, my two grandsons, aged 8 and 4, are really keen on model trains and real ones. I mean, that's great. Kids, with the right nurturing, do love this hobby, and of both genders as well. It's the case that, you know, my little nieces love the model trains because they've been allowed to come to like it. You know, we haven't let stereotypes get in the way. Let's have a look. Mark Wilson, will we see the outdoor railway again soon, Jenny? Is dinner ready yet? I'm starving. Oh, God. No, dinner isn't ready yet. I think Zoe's making it. I'm starving. I did ask for a bag of crisps. I haven't seen it. So hopefully dinner will turn up soon. But yeah, we will see more of the Garden Railway at the moment. Busy on internal projects in the house, up in the loft. Super secret stuff as well I can't really talk about. There's a couple of different TV programmes involved in. That's all I'm going to say about it. It's all I keep saying about it. So you've probably gone enough already with the bigging up your ego. But, you know, one of those things. That is going straight to my head. It's one of those things. It's a bit syrupy. You can get this in sort of like when you go to Italian restaurants, they sometimes have this, and they charge you about £6 for a glass. Well, the entire bottle's only about £9, I'll have you know. From Booker, Cash and Carry. Other wholesalers like Costco are available, or I can't think of the other one. Macro. Meanwhile, yes, the prologue. The prologue? So my train of thought's completely gone because I am absolutely starving, and when I get low blood sugar, I forget my train of thought. So Leslie Gilpin, modelling is an art form. It certainly is, and you know, you get out of it what you put in, but there's certainly a lot of the skills you learn. Painting as well. There's another one. Painting. You know how to paint. Not just paint a room. Painting a room's easy, but painting all the little finicky things like the coving, the fancy bits and pieces you get around a house. It gives you confidence as well. If you tackle a modelling project and are successful and you're happy with the result, it gives you the confidence to tackle other things. Let's have a look. I like transport. I got like 5 new points by Homie second hand for £1 for the lot. Yeah, and I'll bring in at this point one of the other people doing the being interviewed on the MRC stand at Ali Pally is my good friend Derry Fo Nightingale. And if you saw his talk, he was talking about buying model railway stuff doesn't have to be expensive, and he's like the Lovejoy of the antiques trade, but he does a lot of house clearances, and a lot of the stuff that passes through antiques dealers, they do get model railway stuff from house clearances, but the prices are so much less, a lot less, and I've had items from him. I've actually reviewed items on this channel which I bought through Derry. He got me a pretty much as new Bachmann 5MT, with the 460 with tender. And it's mint. It's practically never been run. And he charged me £20 for that. And yeah, I know. And this was last year. Yeah, last year. £20 for an as new Bachmann 5MT in box. The box was a little bit scuffed, but it was there and the model was pristine. But £20. They are out there, and he took me actually. He went to some of his local antique shops just to prove that he wasn't like all hot air. He took me to some antique shops in Oswestry, and I went in there. And there's all like your fancy paintings and your oldie worldy furniture and your sort of antique Persian rugs and stuff, and your little trinkety brass and silver things, and in amongst it, lo and behold, just as he said there would be, there was model railway stuff. And it was cheap. It was really cheap. You're looking at like 30 quid for an in-box Hornby XL and Y Pug. Now, 30 quid is a pretty good price for pretty much as new in the box. And I think it was 51218. So it's the original release. And it's actually the one that's preserved. I think it's on the Keighley and Worth Valley Railway. But 30 quid in this shop, and the guy was running the shop. It's not like 30 quid, take it or leave it. You could negotiate with him, so you could actually get that price down. It was quite an eye opener. And then he had there was a whole load of point motors, and they were going for the equivalent. It's like 10 quid the lot, but there's like 15 point motors in there, so like 75p a point motor. And Derry got a load of rolling stock, and he was like paying a couple of quid for coaches. So don't just assume you have to get this stuff from model shops or from shows. Be a bit creative. Go and have a look around. I've seen sometimes it turn up in charity shops. Keep your eyes peeled. Let's have a look. Philip Page, too right. Teaches you patience as well. Philip Page, how did you put my name in red? I didn't actually. Unless I don't know. Unless, I've just scrolled up. I don't see anybody's names in red. Unless have you? No, you haven't donated on the super chat because it would tell me. But I don't know unless it highlights your own name in red, so you know what's your comments. Mark Wilson, bye from Hong Kong. Tired now. See you next week. Oh, gosh, yeah, it must be 2, 4, 5. It must be about 6 in the morning. Gosh, that jet lag is oh. But yeah, see you next week. Same time. Remember Jenny's Shed Chat Live, the Monday Club, 7 o'clock GMT. But also you can catch up with this on YouTube. The video it just becomes an ordinary video. Yeah, I like transport. Yeah, I suspected it. I was looking at that and saying, they're not red for me. Yeah, it just highlights your own name. New Junction. Oh, excuse me. I missed your talk at Ali Pally. Saw your Hatton's interview, mine. Oh, right. So did you see that when I was doing it, or has it gone live somewhere? Because I've not actually seen the interview. I'm really interested to see that. My understanding is it might be we're presumably going up on Hatton's website, or more like actually probably on their Facebook page. But so I'm really interested to see that. And they were talking about trying to get more YouTubers interviewed and sitting on the Hatton's sofa, and I think that's a great thing. It's certainly I think it's part of the future of getting the word out there of immersing people in model railways. YouTube does seem to have a very good community for model railways. There's quite a few people on here doing stuff. A lot of people charting the progress of their own layouts, and I think it's great. And what I've found is that when you chart the progress of your own layout, it's a lot of people really enjoy watching that. And yeah, George, by the way, next Monday will be British summertime, not GMT. Yeah, that's right. Sorry, 7 o'clock BST, which is GMT +1, or is it -1? We'll work it out. So okay, Jenny's Monday Club. It's going to be at 7 o'clock BST. That's British summertime. New Junction. I was on the stand at the time, ogling over that O-gauge A3. Yeah, there's some nice stuff there. And it's, I always say, I'm not affiliated with any manufacturer or retailer, but, it doesn't mean I'm not happy to give credit where credit's due. And I think Hatton's have done a lot for the hobby. And I'm not just saying that because they were really nice and interviewed me. It genuinely, I've shopped at Hatton's for 30 odd years. Oh gosh. And I think that they've done an awful lot for the hobby, and I can only applaud them. And for me, I think a sign of their utter commitment to the hobby, not just their bottom line, but the hobby as a whole, is the fact that they've distributed and allowed other shops to stock their Hatton's own product, locomotives and rolling stock, but do it in such a way that the local model shops can make a profit but not be undercut by buying direct from Hatton's. And I think that kind of underlines the commitment that Hatton's as a business has for the hobby as a whole to ensure its survival. And they recognise that there's no prizes for being the last man standing in the model shop world. And I think that for me really means that I've got a lot of time for Hatton's. Dogger Bend Railway, quick few comments here now, and I'm gonna. It's like over 2.25 hours now, so I'm gonna wrap up with a few more comments. Let's have a look. Jamie Smith, great live chat. Really enjoyed watching. Thank you for that. Dogger Bend Railway. Hey Jenny, got a new loco. Oh, interested to know what you got there. Jamie Smith, late bright night. Yay. Dogger Bend Railway. Guess what, Jenny? My new loco here. Have you got a terrier? Have you got a terrier? It's not the Rails Terrier though, is it? Because they're not out yet. But trust me, watch Wednesday. We've got an exclusive review of the Rails pre-production prototype, pre-production model. So it's correct livery, correct finish. It's from the tools. There's a few little tweaks to make. The one that I reviewed didn't actually have a motor in. But there was one apparently floating around the hall. I think it was on the National Railway Museum site. But you might want to, if you are prepared to pay a few quid extra and get the definitive model, all I'll say is consider waiting for the Rails one. George, Terrier comparison, you get that on Wednesday. I'm looking forward to that. I'm interested to see what people make of it. Cottesmore, to be fair, my friendliest local model shop is Hatton's. Win-win. Yeah, I mean, obviously if you're in the Liverpool area, they are your local shop as well. But certainly, a lot of the shops I go into are pretty friendly as well. In fact, I went into one in Morley for the first time in ever. I was in Morley. Oh, it was a model shop. I'll go in. First thing they said, do you want a cup of tea? Now that, for me, that's friendly. I like that. I really do. Let's have a look. Tim Ward, thanks Jenny, great chat. Oh, thank you very much. Drinking Bulgarian rakia, which has enhanced my enjoyment. Yeah. Andrew Keeley, Rails version supports the museum too. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, because they've got is it Box Hill is going to be the version that the National Railway Museum will be selling exclusively. So yeah, I think Rails as well. doing really well. I'm excited to see the Terrier reach production, get out there, and I'm totally in Rails' den. Open and honest here. I didn't just swipe it off their stand. They gave me permission to do this, so they're not giving me any freebies. There's no bungs. There's no we'll give you a special price on anything else you want sort of thing. None of that. This is purely what I think, in the same way that I do for all my other box openings and reviews. So, whilst, it's great that Rails lent me this to do this, and they were quite happy for me to do this, there's no commercial influence whatsoever. So what I say on Wednesday is what I truly believe and what my true first impressions are of that model. Let's have a look. Ralph West, great stuff. Night. Enjoy your tea. Thank you very much. Yeah. Andrew Keeley, another nice chat. See you next Monday. Yep, see you too. And remember, 7 o'clock BST. And I told you before I hadn't had anything to eat. You wouldn't believe how quick this goes. What's the percentage on this stuff? 38%. It's like drinking whiskey. What am I on? My third? I'm going to have to round this up because I'm in danger of falling over or just making a real prat of myself. But, Cottesmore. Support the museum by going to... There's a group of about 25 of us going on Saturday. Yeah, the York Railway Museum. Brilliant. I've been taken there. My grandmother sadly passed away many years ago. But when I was very small, always used to take me to the Railway Museum. I love that place. But also don't forget, there's the Shildon Outreach as well. That's a great museum too. They've got a good shop there as well. And you can support the museum by buying their special commissions as well. So well worth that. There's some great models there that they've done. They put their money where their mouth is. They've commissioned some great models from the manufacturers. So do support them. Support your local model shop as well. Really big on that. Wherever that may be. So, big shout out all the model shops that I've used over the years. So Invicta models, 53A models, Freising Hall models, Durham Trains of Stanley, Hattons, Rails, Kernow Model Centre, Holton Model Centre, Bolton Model Mart, Arcadia in Shaw. Oh, and the old Farnworth Model Centre, sadly long gone but will be missed. Where else have I? Lee Model Railways. Is that? It's a long time ago. The one in Morley. Can't remember what it's called, but the one in Morley. Where else have I been? There was one in Long Eaton as well. Was it Long Eaton? Yeah, I think it was Long Eaton. I can't remember what it was called, but it was good. There was one I went to in Sheffield. It wasn't Rails, it was another one. But yeah, support your local model shops, support your local shows, support your local clubs, and always keep the hobby accessible for the next generation. Yeah, Casimir, Lee Models and Hobbies, that's the one. Raybo Rubble, thanks for a great evening. Thank you all for joining in. This is me, a somewhat surprisingly sloshed on 38% Sambuca Jenny. It's been great having you along. We've talked about some great things. Look out for some great stuff coming on this channel. We're going to be doing more up in the loft. I'm pointing up there because that really is where the loft is. Going to be more progress up there. Warning you, it's slowing down a little bit. But as the weather improves, hopefully we'll get some trains going by videos from the garden. Garden Railway is complete. It's just the weather hasn't been good for it. And this coming Sunday, I'm doing a Guinness World Record attempt. I must mention this. The Volvo 600 event at Bruntersthorpe Vehicle Proving Ground. And my Volvo, the venerable Volvo 850S, is going to be in the Heritage Group. And it's not because my Volvo is concourse. It's just they couldn't find any others. Apparently nobody kept Volvo 850Ss. So of all the people who've kind of expressed interest in going, apparently I'm pretty much the only person with an 850S. So I've treated the old dog to a full valet. In fact, 40 quid valet. Ooh, it's not getting that again anytime soon. But it doesn't look like a new car, but it doesn't quite look like it's got 231,000 on the clock. Anyway, Eaton Road Heritage Centre, RBS Models, Long Eaton Station Road. That will be the one. It's been a few years since I called in there, but I was down there on business, saw the model shop, went in, and I can even remember some of the things I bought. I bought some trees, and I bought a bag of ballast at the time because I was finishing off a little corner on Bolton Trinity Road. So I could even, if I was out there, I could point at the exact ballast that I bought from there. And I think I got, oh yeah, they had the triple pack of the Bachmann Engineers wagons, which are the XLNER open wagons that they did in the Engineers departmental livery. I got a pack of those from there. Right, anyway. Oh, yeah, sozzled. Really, yeah, George, you're right. I am sozzled. But good night to you all, wherever you may be. We've had people from all over the United States. We've had people from all over the UK. We've had people from Germany. We've had people from Cyprus, Australia, New Zealand. We even tried to name all of the USA states. I think we got quite a few. I reckon we got into the 40s with that. Early 40s maybe. There's probably a couple we missed off, but I can't for the life of me think of what they were. But yeah, Jamie Smith, you're absolutely right. It's been a great night. It's been great to have you all along. Thank you very much for watching. It's always very much appreciated. Love your support. Don't forget you can check me out on Patreon and help support the channel, help support me able to do these videos. And also, finally, I haven't got any in here. You can also buy my books, science fiction and fantasy fiction, sci-fi horror, Twinkle Little Star, Bring Home the Stars. There's a whole load of books there. You can get them through probably Amazon Marketplace. It's probably the best way. You end up buying them straight from the publishers where they actually come from. But yeah. So you want a good read or buy it. Zoe always tells me off for not plugging my stuff. Just buy my stuff. Yeah, grand. Don't buy my stuff if you don't want to. I don't really care. It's okay. It's great. I'm drunk. This is what I mean about going on too long. I get too drunk and start sounding like an idiot. It was great to meet so many of you. Ali Pally. Hopefully I might do that again next year. Maybe they'll invite me back with my layout and I'll be able to take Grove Street Yard down. That'd be great, actually. I'd love to do that. So if anybody from Ali Pally from the MRC is watching, then my layout is available to book for next year. I would love very much to come, and I will do interviews for you as well. Anybody from Hatton's listening in, thank you very much for interviewing me. It made me feel very important, and it's really good when people think I'm really worth listening to. I love it, and keep up the good work. I've been a customer of yours for 30 odd years, and here's to the next 30. I'll drink to that. Rails of Sheffield, thank you very much for allowing me an exclusive review of your terrier. I felt really honoured that you let me do that you picked me for doing that. And hopefully when the full fat model turns up in the shops, I'm looking forward to buying one. Not looking for a freebie, just want to pay full price. And I'm looking forward to that. Right. I am finally going to go now. Look, you all take really good care of yourself. And this is me, Jenny Kirk, saying bye for now.